Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, Ril Dil Quinn. Episode 850, season 15 of the Real Deal podcast. As me and Robert Sapp. How you doing, Mr. Sapp?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. We join you for another look at the NFL. Week 4 is in the books. Basically, the season is a quarter away done. I know 17 games, but basically, this is the quarter point of the season as the calendar has switched to October. A lot of interesting stories in the first month. We'll get right to it. Themes I had, well, revenge, well, kind of. It doesn't make up for the Super Bowl loss about 20 months ago, but Kansas City definitely took care of business against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk more about that game later. What was your theme of the week?
My theme of the week was they they were who I thought they were.
Gotcha.
I feel like last week felt a little crazy. This week kind of normalized a
All
bit.
right, so you got some there was some clarity
Uh-huh.
in your eyes to the season.
Yep.
All right. As always, we begin with the Buffalo segment. I'm going to go first because I know Rob Sapp has all the thoughts, as he likes
All,
to say.
all every single one of them.
This was a very interesting game. It was a game that did not surprise me in terms of how it ended up. Um, there are levels to this.
Yep.
Buffalo clearly is at a notch or a couple notches above the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore in this game was in control of the game for the majority of the game. Really should have been up by more at halftime. At 20-10, I thought at halftime, I thought Buffalo was going to win the game because I thought that the Ravens blew the opportunity to really put some distance between the two teams.
Yeah.
They, especially when they allowed Buffalo to score a touchdown basically right before the half.
Yeah.
Buffalo had all the momentum, and we know what type of second half team Buffalo has been. Second time this year that Buffalo has held opponents scoreless. You saw that in week 1 against the Rams. Um, here's Baltimore's second half possessions: punt, interception, interception, and of course, and of course, up into that last drive, Baltimore had 36 yards of offense. The last drive before the Jackson interception was 14 plays, 93 yards. The decision by John Harbaugh to pass up on the field goal and go for it on the fourth down at the 2 yard line, basically almost the 3 yard line. It was a long 2 yard. It was a long 2 yards. This wasn't at the goal line 1 inch line. This was like a legit 3 yards. It was at marked officially at the 2 yard line, but it was even closer to being at the 3 yard line. It wasn't a bad decision. It was a fucking insane decision. Okay. You're out, and this is where, and I watched the press conference, and when I hear a coach use the word analytics, I want to punch a wall. Like that's not the type of language I want to hear my coach using to explain a decision. You have your offense, and this is where the feel of the game comes in, right? You have to, as a coach, you have to feel the game out. You have to understand what is the momentum looking like. How is my team playing? How is my offense operate? This is the human element. Fuck, where that numbers cannot tell. Numbers cannot dictate. Your offense had up until that last drive had 36 yards of total offense. And if I include the last drive, that's like 129 yards in the second half. They had 129 yards in the second half of offense. 93 of them coming on one drive that took 9 minutes, 14 plays, and nothing came out of it. So to me, at 2020, it's the easiest call, in my opinion, that you kick the field goal and that you make Buffalo go down the field to either kick a field goal, or if they score a touchdown, then so be it. They score a touchdown. But to give the ball, and of course they got the worst case scenario, because not only did they not go for the field goal, he gets the interception, and instead of starting at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, Buffalo is at the 20 yard line. It creates a shorter field, and Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does as a great quarterback, takes his team down, and they get the winning field goal. but it was just an insane decision. And I'm like John Harbaugh, again, he's been a very good coach, Super Bowl winner, probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame someday. Someday, he has won a ton of games. But sometimes, and I used this phrase last year with some of these coaches' decision. Sometimes these coaches are trying to outsmart the game, and when you try to outsmart the game, you do something. This is like a Nathaniel Hackett type decision. This is out of the Nathaniel Hackett playbook.
Too harsh. Too harsh.
Oh no, no. Oh, it was bad. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. All right, Nathaniel Hackett ish. How about that? But just an insane decision. Insane. Like I just when I saw it, like it wasn't no second guess. I was like, kick the motherfucking field goal. Like what are we doing here? So that's from my perspective. The Baltimore perspective of it. Baltimore they're gonna win that division, but they're gonna have to fight tooth and nail. There's still some limitations with that offense that they have. They still don't have that deep threat to take the top off of defense. So you can, you saw Buffalo make some adjustments. You saw Buffalo blitz more in the second half.
Not getting the top off our defense, I'll tell you that much.
Huh?
Happening. No, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, but you saw Buffalo make adjustments as far as blitzing more in the second half. We know Buffalo is not a heavy blitz team because they can, get to the quarterback without having to with just their front four. But it's not like it's not hard to, once you get a read on that Baltimore offense, there's no plan B, C, or D. Now, getting a read on it is difficult as all hell, but when you do get the read on it, then they have no alternative plan. So that problem still exists for the Baltimore Ravens. I'll give Rob the mic with in terms of the Buffalo part of this.
Yeah, like with the fourth down decision, all I could think is been there. We've been there as a team. But even before I get there, you shortchanged us. Tennessee didn't score in that second half either. We've shut out 3 teams in the second half. Miami's the only team.
My apologies, sir. I forgot Tennessee was in the league.
Here's what is very clear to me after 4 games watching my team. Leslie Frazier is a genius, and we are a defensive team, flat out. We're a defensive dominated team. Damn the headlines, damn what you're reading. Watch what we're doing. So I have this is more my comfort zone as a fan because we won the game and I have all the complaints. Like the Achilles heel, and I can see it coming a million miles away, is the running game. And what I mean by that is that so congratulations, we won by 3 points, beat Baltimore. That's great. But the running game is something that is going to rear its ugly head over and over again as we get into the tighter and tighter games. And so while of course I'm pleased with the victory, what I am not happy with at all is the execution on offense, in particular how our lack of production in the running game and our lack of willingness to try the production in the running game. We're falling into some very, very old bad habits that just will has the potential. Let me just say this, has the potential to bite us. So now we go back to that 4th and 2. Here's what happens. When you don't have a winning team for a very long time, you forget all the different things that go into it. Baltimore is not thinking about this game specifically. They're thinking about their overarching record in the AFC and their ability to get the number 1 seed. And so when you do that, I'm thinking about last year when we went for the 4th round against Tennessee. When we went for the touchdown and Josh Allen, whatever, didn't make it in. You're looking at your dominant quarterback who's all world, who could do all different things, and you're saying we have 2 yards to go. You bet on that pretty much every single time. Baltimore, he knew very well as much as I do. Baltimore was going to stop us from scoring. No chance in hell. Not even a chance. I don't care what Peters was over there yelling about and everything like that. There was just no way. There's no way. Their defense had nothing for us. which is why a 3-point win actually doesn't impress me at all. We should have boat raced them. How dare we have to come back against Baltimore? That number 30th ranked defense. Get out of my face. I have very high standards for what a Super Bowl team should look like, and this didn't pass my eye test in terms of like a Super Bowl team. So in my stock up, stock my own personal stock up, stock down on my team, my stock is down, and so where I was at the beginning of the season, where I'm at 100%, now I'm probably at 70%. On my team and their Super Bowl chances. Again, a win is fine. It's good, and I get it, and I'm happy with the win. But this is not about winning against Baltimore.
No,
I know you guys.
no, you're looking at big picture.
This is about what a Super Bowl win looks like, and honestly, ultimately, it's about what it needs to look like against Kansas City, not once, but twice. And so, with that being said, what does make me happy is that we're a defensive oriented team. And not only that, our back end is getting better because these young boys are playing in meaningful games and doing well. And so that only bodes better and better for our offensive our defensive squad. Again, Dan, what you hear on the headlines, this is Leslie Frazier's masterpiece that he's putting together with this defensive squad. If we win the Super Bowl, it's going to be on the back of our defense. That you heard it here first, and that is 100% accurate. Of course, you need an all-star quarterback. Of course, you need all of that. But with the offense not in a consistent groove, there's no way I can give credit to the offense when our defense has been so very, very dominant. And not pop off your eyes dominant, or pop off the page dominant, just like a nice steady dominance. And so that's why I'm just like, man, if we get a run game to support that defense, then we'd be looking really good. I'm very, very, don't get it twisted. I'm very happy for this win. We needed the win. I just did not enjoy how that game started, and I wasn't super impressed with the consistency of our offensive production. But for pretty much not even pretty much all the games, I am more than impressed with the job Leslie Frazier and that defense is doing. Notice I didn't say I might have said Josh Allen one time. So that'll be my second time because it's Leslie Frazier in that defense that's carrying this team.
So I'm gonna push back on the point about like the decision. Baltimore's defense actually played probably its best game of the season against y'all game.
No, we played horrible.
So they whatever. You can not give them credit, but they held you. No, that's fine. They held Buffalo 326
against that team. You can say whatever you want.
No, I mean you should. I can understand your
They're
critique.
the 30th ranked defense, Ril. They're the 30th ranked defense.
No, I understand that. No, I get that. But on that night, on that day, their defense actually played well. So I'm not defending Harbaugh's decision whatsoever. That's the bottom line. The second point, from a running standpoint. So because you guys actually ran the ball pretty well. Do you want more rushes? Because you had 25 for 125, which is very good.
Josh Allen. So you got to look at you guys.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yep. He had about half of that. Yep. So you want?
He was the leading rusher.
Yeah. He had. Yeah. He had more than half. No, he had about 70. Yes, that was 70. Yeah. So, I mean, Singletary had 11 for 49. That's 4.5 like that. Are you concerned? Are you concerned about you want more rushes or the offensive line? Like, do you want what do you want out of the running game? Like what?
I want a productive running game, bro. I want a running game.
Minus Josh Allen.
Yes, absolutely. Minus Josh Allen.
Okay.
Yeah. Josh Allen's runs should be calculated runs when it's called, but most of them should be when he needs to get the down. A la Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
No, we're not trying to have Josh Allen be our leading rusher.
No, got you. No, I got it. No,
He
got it.
doesn't run. He doesn't run like that. He runs right into the
Yeah,
middle.
and
Takes
11 carries is a bit high. That's that
wow,
you don't you want that between
that's way too high.
3 to 5. Yeah, three. You want that between 3 to 5.
Five
Five
is
be
it
the max.
was an ugly game. It was one of those tough wins. This has nothing to do with fantasy or anything like that. I'm talking about my team and wins. And also I'm looking at the bigger picture. The
Right.
season is about building habits,
Yeah.
winning habits. Um, when the weather gets bad,
You don't have to
you
be able to
need
run the
a
ball.
consistent
Yep.
running game.
Yep. No
And I
question.
hear it way too much from Bills Mafia. Oh, the weather was bad. Excuse, excuse, excuse. Well, if we had a dependable running game, we wouldn't need as many. We wouldn't be
By the way,
talking
I
about
heard you. But by the way, I heard that during commentating about the weather. I like you got to be kidding me, right? Like they play in
they
one of the
always
worst
talk about the weather.
bad weather cities in the country. I don't want to hear excuses that the weather affecting. No, they were trying to make a point about the weather affecting Buffalo. I was like, what? Like what are we talking about here? But yeah, anyway.
They always
Um,
complain about it.
yeah, no, some of the commentators during the course of the game were talking about
Uh-huh.
that.
Because
That's part.
everything's about Josh Allen. So if it
Yeah, yeah.
negatively
Oh,
impacts
I'm glad.
him,
Yo,
then
last point about
everybody's
that. No,
upset.
last point about that. The because I'm glad you brought up the Leslie Frazier aspect. It's so yeah, Josh Allen is Josh
Master,
Allen, but
coaching,
Leslie Frazier has been the MVP of the season this year, right
coaching
now.
a masterpiece.
Yes, that
Really,
defense
really.
is dominant. That is a dominant defense, and I heard way
The back end is in shambles.
right. And yeah, with key injuries, exactly. He lost Michael Hyde is an All Pro.
We're not
Um,
talking about like what our defensive line rotation and how damaged that is.
right.
But the linebackers are killing it.
Yeah, I mean you have
They're
you're missing two All Pros in the secondary.
I
Um,
know. I know. I said our defensive backfield is in shambles and our defensive rotation is decimated. But our linebackers, woo,
yeah,
they are they're on one.
the
They're
so
everywhere.
if you can't playing Buffalo, if you don't force Buffalo to blitz, like you can't like you
No blitz.
if you don't force like you have no. This is my way. You have to force Buffalo to blitz because if they can get you if they are to able to get to your
No blitz
quarterback
pack.
4 down lineman, you're dead. You're dead. You're dead. And you have to have somebody. And this is where why I'm sure you like them over Kansas City, and a lot of people like them over Kansas City. You have to have somebody to take the
Not right
top
now.
of the
Not
defense.
even
No, right?
close.
Yeah, I got it. Hey, it's early, still early.
Oh
I'm
no.
just,
No,
I'm
no.
saying, I'm
Oh
saying, I'm
no.
still early.
Kansas City's number one in the league.
I, yeah,
I know they
I
usually
disagree.
look 4-0.
I disagree with
I know
that
they
still.
usually look 4-0. Kansas City's number one in the league.
Game of the week. So game of the week, Green Bay, New England. This was a game that I didn't I mean, again, I didn't expect to be this close. Green Bay had to fight tooth and nail just to survive this game. Easily could have lost this game. Probably should have lost this game. Despite the fact that they outgained New England 443 to 271. Rodgers was horrible in the first half, and I don't want to hear about the receivers. Like, no, he was missing balls left and right. Um, the Packers survived this performance, survived New England because Green Bay was not New England. I mean, New England was down to their third string quarterback, Zappy, who probably is better than Hoyer anyway. But anyway, that's where they're at right now in terms that's where they're at right now in terms of their quarterback situation. But again, this is and this will lead to some things we talk about later on the podcast in terms of AMC. Again, this Packers are 3-1. They're a weak 3-1. They have not been impressive at all this season. Like I said, struggled to be a New England team that just is not that good. Like they absolutely are not that good. Packers able to run the ball 35 for 199. That's the strength of their team right now, without question, and also their defense, the defensive line with Clark and some of the players. Even though, but they weren't great. New England was able to make some plays even against that secondary. But for the most part, Green Bay defense has been very good. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, that no way did I think this was actually going to be a game. But as I was watching it, I mean, like the Packers struggles are obvious. Some things don't make sense, and it didn't make sense that they traded Javon Walker. It just didn't make sense. So they're getting exactly what they deserve in that area. Um, talk about somebody outsmarting themselves. They outsmart themselves there.
I mean, Devontae Adams.
So yeah, what did I say? So
Javon
Devontae,
Walker.
whatever. Yeah, I was with Devon Walker. Um, but uh, but but anyway, so because Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams haven't won anything. But anyways, uh, uh, but as I was watching that game, I was thinking the great thing about being a third string quarterback is that nobody
Knows you.
has any tape on
Nope.
you, thought about you at all during the week in any stretch formation. So if you can do anything, that's your only advantage in that situation. Next week's will be a very different story. But for this week, that like he was at least able to step in and do that and give them a credit fight. But you're right. This is about what the
Green
team
Bay.
that Green Bay is more than the fight that the Patriots put up.
Right.
Like they're just not very efficient offensively. They're just not.
No, some. I mean,
And,
well, I'm about to say
and
something missing. Yeah,
so
Devontae Adams. That's what's missing. Yeah,
yeah, they're just not. They're just not. No, I said they're not very efficient
no,
offensively. Yeah,
no, not at
because
all. No.
yeah. So, like it will it if the prior teams didn't make it to the Super Bowl, and we know that's honestly on Green Bay's only goal. Then this 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 doesn't look anywhere near as good as those teams. So obviously, what they have to hope for is that nobody steps it up throughout the season in the NFC. That the NFC just continues to be kind of mediocre. Then they can mediocre their way to the Super Bowl based off of Aaron Rodgers' greatness. But this team compared to prior Green Bay teams that haven't made the Super Bowl is not even that good. So that is my main takeaway.
No, I mean it's one.
Green Bay. When I compare everything to how much a team worries me. Green Bay doesn't work.
No, it's one aspect. It's the pass. I mean, it's the wide receivers. Their defense and running game is very good. Like their defense and running game is Super Bowl caliber. It's the wide receivers. Like they can't like that. That's it. Like, they had no.
I just watched Zappy do a whole bunch of things against that defense. So okay. But they don't impress me, bro. I'm just not.
No, overall,
They're
no. Overall,
fine.
the eye test,
They're
they don't.
fine.
They're
Their
not
team is
passing the eye
fine.
test. No.
Their team is fine, but nah.
No,
Nobody flashes on that defensive side to me, and the running game is okay. I mean, I eviscerated our running game. That I wasn't impressed by what I saw.
No, they're not. They don't.
They're not efficient offensively.
Through four, no, they've been average to mediocre offensively through the first 4 games of the season. To be perfectly honest with you, and they're going again. I said this before the season started. They are going to have to trade for a wide receiver, point blank. Period. That's all there is to it to me. My thoughts have not changed on that whatsoever. A couple of games of note. Jacksonville, Philadelphia. I watched a lot of this game. Philadelphia comes back from a 14-0 early deficit. Turning point of this game. Jacksonville is up 14-0 in a bad weather, of course, because of the remnants of Hurricane Ian. They had the ball 14-0 driving in the second quarter on a 4th and 3. Trevor Lawrence fumbled with no contact, by the way. He just lost the ball. Eagles get the ball, score right away, 14-7. Then the Eagles scored like 29 straight points, and that was the game. Rough day for Lawrence, to say at least 5 turnovers.
That's your boy. I was thinking
still my boy. No, he's still my boy. No, he's still my boy.
I know you're gonna ride with him. You're gonna ride with him.
He's still my boy.
I'm holding out. I'm reserving.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I actually was still impressed with Jacksonville. They showed me something with this, because you turn on the ball 5 times on the road, you're supposed to get your ass whipped. Like, especially against a good Philadelphia team. We've established that Philadelphia is a very, very good team. So that I actually was impressed with Jacksonville just
They break
being
up that
being in that
part.
game with 5 turnovers on the
Yeah.
road. Eagles right now are rolling 4-0. They have a top
Yep.
three offense, a top three defense, quarterback that's playing well. They are the class of the division. I know Dallas is 3-1, but the Eagles have more talent than Dallas. We know this. And if you're an Eagles fan right now, the way the NFC looks, you got to be, hey, why not us? Like why, like really, why not us? So
That's the one to break up that Tampa because neither one of those other teams are impressive.
no, no, the Eagles are built
Flash
from a stand with the running game, the defense, and at the point of attack, the Eagles are built for November, December, January football. They absolutely are. They've done a tremendous job with the offensive line. They're one of the best offensive lines in football, and their defensive line can get to the quarterback. And and Darius Slay is playing like a madman right now. He's all over the place as a cornerback. He's playing just insanely. Like you're not smart to go after Darius Slay right now at that cornerback position because he's just ball hawking everything. So listen, the Eagles right now. I mean, right after the quarter pole, they're the class of the NFC. Like let's call it what it is. They're the class of the NFC right now. Um, the games will get harder. We'll see them get some real opponents, we'll get some other opponents, but the thing they got going for them is that division is horrible. So even with 3-1 Giants, even with 3-1 Dallas, they're clearly, and forget about the other team, they're clearly the class of that division. I think the Giants are improved. I've watched a little of the Giants. The Giants are a competent the Giants look like an NFL football team this year. So they are Saquon Barkley. We'll talk more about him,
Yeah.
but the division is
They
still
don't have
mediocre.
comparable talent right
No,
now.
they don't. The Giants, no, it's not even close. They don't. Neither one of those teams have comparable talent to the
Yeah,
Eagles. The Eagles
but
by
no, you're
far,
right. It's like a professional football team.
right. It's still no. They don't have comparable talent to Philadelphia. Neither does Dallas, for that matter. So what were
Dermot
your
about
thoughts?
to get himself a coaching tree, a whole entire coaching tree.
Who are you talking about?
McDermott,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, coaching tree. Them boys in Buffalo can coach. They sure can.
What were your thoughts on this game?
Philly, Philly. They're the ones. They're the ones that can. They're the ones. They're the ones that can potentially um mess up the Green Bay Tampa Bay party and actually inject some life in the NFC and actually get an NFC hope in the Super Bowl. They're the ones.
I don't think they can win the Super Bowl. I'm not going. I'm not going
I
that
said
far.
give the NFC hope.
Hope.
No, NFC's not winning the Super
Okay,
Bowl.
let's get that. Okay, I
That
thought
is
you were going
that
out.
is
Okay,
fact
okay.
because Buffalo's winning the Super Bowl. But um, outside of that, it can give the NFC some hope because Green Bay and Tampa ain't it right now. They
No,
ain't it.
not at all. Denver, Vegas. Vegas gets a very much needed win, of course, starting off season 0-3. I almost was about to give Denver's offense some credit in the first half, scoring 16 points, but they became who they are in the second half, doing next to nothing. Their second half possessions, 4 punts, a loss on downs, and 1 touchdown. So that was their second half possessions in Vegas. Vegas just this basically was a mauling at the line of scrimmage. Vegas had 212 yards rushing. Jacobs, who's a very good player, 144 yards, 144 of those yards. Um, Russell Wilson started out 11 for 12, but again, that we know who their coach is. Vegas moves up to 1-3. Denver falls to 2-2. Any thoughts on this game?
I mean, like I'm not really crushing Hackett on this game. Um,
No,
I,
Vegas had a
here's
game.
here's what now. Yeah, I'm not really crushing Hackett on this game, but I just think that I think these are two middling teams that kind of meandered through this game. Division rivals, so there's familiarity with them. Like this wasn't the cleanest play game in the world, even though there were a lot of points up there. Um, and so I think the more desperate of two mediocre teams won. That's how I describe this.
That is yeah, that basically sums it up. Um San Francisco continues to own the Rams 24-9. Um Again, it's just certain teams just have your number. Certain coaches just have your number. Shanahan owns McVay. I mean, that's all there is to it. McVay, one of the bright young coaches in the league, Super Bowl winner, but they just can't do anything with San Francisco. San Francisco has now beaten them 7 straight regular season games. The one loss they had, of course, came in the playoffs. The more important, the NFC Championship last year, a game that San Francisco easily could have won, by the way. Um, and the bottom line is, to me, it's almost like they know the Rams playbook. Not only do they know their playbook, they know when they're gonna win certain plays. Like they had the Rams like it's psychological. It's no question it's psychological. And by the way, San Francisco came in this game with a bunch of injuries. I mean, their best player Trent Williams is out, and they had a couple other injuries, so they came in banged up. But it didn't matter. Like this game was a mauling. This game was they held the Rams to 257 yards. Um, Samuels, we'll talk more about him. He, just just is a man amongst boys out there. Of course, they turned Stafford over. Stafford has been horrible this year. I mean, bad, bad, bad. Good thing you got that Super Bowl out of him last year if you were a Rams fan, because these man, he's been bad this year. And again, this is like certain teams just own others. Like this is one of those things. Like they cannot. I mean, you remember this back in those AFC East days when you guys owned Miami with Marino. Despite Marino, it's just I mean you guys had better teams, but still, they couldn't beat y'all. They couldn't playoffs. It didn't matter. It just couldn't beat y'all. Wherever the case was, certain teams own others. They own San Francisco. San Francisco owns the Rams, and that's that. What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, no, just exactly what you said.
And again, these teams, all these teams hate. You know about hate. These teams absolutely hate each other to a core. They hate each other. But San Francisco has
right. I was supposed to be.
Yeah, San Francisco has absolutely just owned them over the course of the last 5 years in the McVay, Shanahan.
I thought you were going to do an NFC East comparison. Like in the 80s and 90s, when y'all took turns dominating each other.
Nah, I mean Nah, I mean I'm talking about like one side when a team just has your number like that. I know what you're talking about. That would have been fair. I know what you're talking about. Because the Giants used to get the best of us. We used to get the best of the Eagles. The Eagles used to get the best of the Giants, and then the Cowboys, came up, and just took over the division eventually in the '90s. But yeah, I know what you mean. Who won the week? Who won the week for you?
Oh, Kansas City.
Oh, okay. So we both on the same page.
They was clowning.
They was
clowning on national TV. Oh yeah. Oh, they had party on Tampa Bay.
That performance. So the Kansas City performance 41-31. First of all, the game wasn't that close. Number one, it was. Kansas City really could have put 50.
I fell asleep at halftime.
Yeah, that's why you didn't have to watch the second.
And woke back up and then watched it on replay or whatever.
Yeah,
but I fell asleep at halftime.
Yeah,
that's I don't care what that final score was.
No.
That was playing. That's when you dominate team. Their offense was playing with the defense.
That was a vintage Kansas City performance. That's vintage Kansas City.
All that stuff is working. It's so bad.
No one in the league has any answers. Kansas City's playing like that. That the offensively playing
all
like
that is working. It's just a bad.
It's very very they are a major problem. I mean, third downs at 12 for 17. 417 yards of offense. Again, they could have had 500 yards of offense easily. They took the foot off the gas. Andy Reid's not that type of dude to try to run up stuff like that. He's just not. Like old Belichick, they would have had like 50. They did whatever they wanted to. They look at the rushing discrepancy. They had 189 yards rushing. Tampa Bay had 3 yards rushing. So yeah, it was ugly to say the least. By the way, let me give you your flowers, your credit for this from a standpoint. You said, I don't think this game. You basically kind of saw this coming because you said that you felt like they were going to turn Tampa Bay over, and that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. Like when those turnovers started coming, it was like, no, there's a wrap. And Tampa Bay had 2 quick ones, and that was it. That was a game. Like you cannot turn the ball up against Kansas City. You just can't. Like that's just that. You might as well. That's digging your own grave.
You absolutely cannot. You cannot.
You
You
can't
just
do it.
cannot.
No. And I
No.
looked at Mahomes. Mahomes wanted this bad. Like he wanted this. You
Yeah,
saw that
he
looking
was
at,
in locked in space.
yeah. You can look at, yes, you can see that.
But
You
you
can see
got the
the
best of all that because then he was in the locked in, but then he got to play too. So he was just it was man, that was Golden State when they get hot and they
yeah,
just dancing and wiggling and throwing things behind their back and shooting from half court,
yeah.
everything coming in.
You
It's
know,
just like
Steph Curry shimmying.
like,
That,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. Just like Mahomes running up, flicking the ball. I'm just like, yo, what is even going on? That's a professional. That's a good defense.
That's
Supposedly a good
that's a
defense
very good
out there.
defense. That's a very good
They
defense.
just clowning him right
Yeah.
now. They do whatever they feel like.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
coming into the game, Andy Reid actually said that that Tampa Bay's defense was playing better than what they were when they faced them in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
That's how
Sure.
well Tampa Bay's defense was playing. So no,
Sure.
that Tampa Bay is a legit top five defense.
Yep.
That's not the Ravens or that
No.
that is a
No. I remember when Bill Belichick was singing our not Bill Belichick.
oh Parcells
Yeah,
used to do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bill
yeah, yeah.
Parcells
No, but
in '90 Super
no,
Bowl. Yeah. I
but
remember
you
that. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I
yeah, sure, sure.
understand, but that
Right,
is a real.
sure.
We know
That's
the Tampa
right.
Bay is a real defense. Like that is a
Uh-huh.
real defense.
You go out and get your ass whooped. Yep.
That is
That's
a real
that championship.
that Tampa Bay is a real defense. So Kansas
Mhm.
City again, that what you saw on Sunday night was Kansas City clicking on all cylinders, and that is a scary sight for the rest of the league.
It is, but that's why I say best team in the league because, as you stated, the Eagles' schedule is going to get harder. Um, Kansas City There's no nights off for them,
Well, they took a
and
week.
they,
No, that's not true. They took a night off last week against Indianapolis, so they could
no,
take.
no. Here's what I'm saying: there's no every team. There's no night off.
Got
Even
you
the bad teams play them like it's their
hard.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that. They've had that target for forever, and so when you can put a performance against, like you said, a top five defense like this, oh, oh, but because what that says to me is your A game is better than everybody else's A game.
Got you. No, I got. Listen, I look.
Yeah,
I
am I
mean,
talking about if can Kansas City lose? They play their C game
right.
against a good team. That good team plays their B or their A game. Yeah, they'll lose, or it'll be close. But woo, Kansas City clicking on all cylinders. That thing is vicious.
No, yeah. From that standpoint, yeah, they are the top team. From that standpoint, yeah, their A game is still better than
Know what the
everybody
Eagles'
else's.
record is? I know, and I appreciate their record. I look. Kansas City has a resume. The
Yes.
Eagles are building their resume. This version of them is building their resume. So, yeah. That was impressive. That was very, very, very impressive.
So
Actually, terrifying to be honest with you.
yeah, me and Sap
As
are
a team that has to play them very quickly. That was very impressive.
so me and Sap are in agreement. Kansas City wins the week. Biggest disappointment to me, I think that this pretty is a much is easy for me. Um, the handling and the Miami Dolphin franchise in terms of what transpired with Tua Tagovailoa. We of course know that he suffered another concussion last Thursday against the Bengals. Had to lead the game. It was very scary, a scary sight when you see how his fingers were and things of that nature. This of course happened before this game. He should never have been on the field. We know that he suffered a concussion the week prior against Buffalo.
Do we know that? That's the point. Do we know that?
Yeah, we do know that. Like anybody watching that game, yes, he wanted that one.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
no, there's no question he had a concussion that give
real.
Buffalo.
That's what makes this deeper.
Here, no, look, here's the thing.
It wasn't a diagnosed concussion.
And no, so here, no, this is the NFL. Like, here's the thing. So let's break this down from this standpoint. Let's break this down from this standpoint, right? So he leaves the Buffalo. He comes back. He leaves the Buffalo game for like one play before halftime. He takes a hit. He clearly hits his head. His head slams back on the turf against Buffalo. Clearly, it's not even the video. You can watch the video 1,000 times. His head clearly slammed on the turf, right? Or snapped back on the turf.
That's not debatable, and
that's not what. So that's not debatable at all. So he gets up. And both his knees buckle and falls. Immediately falls, right? Okay,
Yep.
comes back, comes back, and comes back.
No, but here's what they're saying.
Hold
They
on,
said
no, hold on.
he
No, I know it
has
was I know it was. I clearly know what it was diagnosed as. Diagnosed as. I clearly know that. Like that, it was diagnosed as a back and what have you, and they played that off. And then then the doctors, the NFL Players Association, had those doctors relieved of their duties. All right, so we know what the NFL, where the NFL stands with concussions. We understand the NFL doesn't give a shit about the players. We know players are going to say, "Hey, I'm good," especially at the quarterback position. I'm good to go. I can play. They're not like these guys are the most competitive people on earth. They are terrified to lose their jobs. Period. We understand that. My thing is, and this is why I put Miami as the biggest disappointment. You have a franchise quarterback, right? You've had one good quarterback in the last 40 years. One. And we know who that is. You have a legit franchise quarterback who I think with this team, you could go to the Super Bowl with. Maybe not this year, but at least before you have to actually pay him if he does get back. So I don't understand why in God's green earth that you would even remotely risk him after what transpired against Buffalo. You're coming on a short week. You are coming on a short week. You have on a travel day. So you really only had 2 days to prepare. 2 days. Like Monday, Tuesday, you have to travel Wednesday, Thursday is the game. If you missed it, like that misdiagnosis, if like I just cannot believe that he was misdiagnosed. I don't believe it for a second. I believe that those doctors are the fall guys. And somebody had to take them. Somebody had to eat this. Like somebody had to take that. So I don't believe for 1 second that he was misdiagnosed. I just don't believe it that that a doctor could be that fucking incompetent. I don't. I'm not buying that at all. So I don't. To me, if you're a franchise, out of sheer caution, this is my franchise quarterback. He's too important. Even out of caution, no, you're not playing against Cincinnati. That's it. Instead, you look at this hit. This hit wasn't even. It wasn't a hit. How his body was contorted. It was not even. He didn't hardly hit his head. So that told me that there was remnants from the previous week that he had a concussion. How serious that was. So again, I don't understand it from Miami standpoint. Like I really I don't at all. From a player standpoint, yes, the NFL Players Association. I know how they move. We know the NFL hasn't cared about players and concussions since Johnny Unitas, and we know how they treated their players. Mike Webster, go watch concussion, go read the book. There's 100 years of research to prove the NFL doesn't give a shit about their players. Period. I got that already. But the Miami Dolphins and with this quarterback, no, it is inexcusable. It's borderline. I mean, somebody said that. A couple of doctors, neurologists said that it was borderline on the criminal. What are your thoughts?
So there's a bit of revisionist history going on. Tua is not a franchise quarterback yet. I don't think they view him.
I'll say potential.
Obviously, they don't view him as that. And then the other factors you have rookie head coach who has something to prove, and Tua, who was playing very well, who has something to prove. And so it's an epic blunder, and one that will have serious ramifications. When me and my brother talk, and my brother's a Dolphins fan, so I know the Dolphins organization very, very well through his fandom. When he talk, I mean, he'll tell you that it's a poorly run organization. He can't stand the way that the organization is run. So this isn't truly surprising, to be honest with you. But the big thing is the way in which they have always viewed Tua. Not always, and they wanted to draft him, they got him, but I would say in the last couple of years, how they have treated him and how they perceived him, and so I say that to say if this was a better run organization, your points would be spot on. The Dolphins are a disappointment because when we were watching that first game, the Buffalo Miami game, when he originally got knocked down, and of course I believe it was a concussion. I want to make that very clear. I believe it, but that is not what has been diagnosed. That's not what anybody officially has said. And so when we watched that first game, I was like, oh, they're like when he came back out, I was like, yep, I thought they'll get a fine. But now what happened in this game combined with what I think I saw in that first half of his performance that felt like he was clearly having the effects of a concussion even before he got this one. This will balloon into something much, much bigger. And to me, that's why the Dolphins are biggest disappointment, because you're such a horribly run organization. You A, can't look out for your players, and you B, can't even look out for the health of your organization. So just a disappointment all around.
So what do you think? Like, what do you think is the potential for this type of situation? Like, what do you see coming
It's
up on the
going to
horizon?
be so I think the floor is one of those heavy fines on the organization. I think lost a draft pick, and I think I'm trying to think if I get to suspension level on either the GM, owner, head coach, however that they work that type of stuff out. I don't know if it necessarily gets there. I do believe what this ultimately does is, I said this to my brother, they're gonna put a halo around the quarterback now, like a halo, like the grab and sling. That ain't gonna be able to happen anymore, and the push back, so I think ultimately big fine for Dolphins and loss of draft picks. That's the floor. If I don't think I think Tua would have to be a participant in any legal, like for real legal ramifications of them. I just don't know if he's willing to go there at this point in time. So outside of that, and outside the NFLPA really pushing that, I don't know if I necessarily see a specific criminal, like that type of complaint against them. The other thing I could do is I could see young boy head coach being the fall guy on this if it gets so bad where the NFLPA and Tua are pushing against what the Dolphins did and the seemingly lies that are being told. But again, NFL's backing all this. So what I ultimately see is them slapping the Dolphins on the wrist with draft picks and with a heavy fine. And then this will be the spur for rule changes that they'll say on concussion protocols and yada, 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 that stuff. I think ultimately the biggest thing is there's going to be an even bigger halo around the quarterbacks.
Yeah, your last point was the key one. Like you won't, if you think you couldn't breathe on a quarterback before, that's going to be
Yeah, ain't happening. Ain't
yeah,
happening.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, the quarterback is going to be the winner coming out of this one. To be honest with you, from that standpoint, so I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, just I mean, you know, it,
If Tua was another type of player, this could get real ugly.
like
So
if he were actual, if this were like if he were like an all pro that type of like,
I mean,
quarterback,
if he was like, let's say like Lamar Jackson, right? In
right?
this year where he doesn't have a contract extension, right? Like Lamar would want to go to war with the organization if he can't
Oh,
play.
this would be in court. Oh yeah, this would be in court without court. Yeah, this would
Right,
be
like that's what I'm saying. If he's a different type of player, or if he's a player that has animosity against the league, like all I can think of is old school players, in my head. But like I'm trying to think of a new school player who I think would push the NFL in a specific way like this. It definitely wouldn't come from the quarterback position.
no.
In this day and age. But but oh, you know who would do it? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron
No,
Rodgers do it.
no, yeah, without question.
Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers would do it. So it's like if he was like in the Aaron Rodgers like F y'all mentality, then this could get really ugly. I just don't see Tua being that type of player. But if the NFLPA, if they can find a larger, this is the dots I can't connect. I can't connect how they can make this a larger, broader issue other than player safety. But Tua, like
I don't think
like
they're. I just don't think they're competent enough, to be honest with you.
yeah, there's just I just don't see the angle to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm sitting here trying to force it. So that's why I think what will ultimately happen is what I stated. But the big thing that the NFL would do to spin this, because again, they are backing this. They are backing this decision. Um, can't take the onus off of them at all.
No,
Um, is that it'll be like a fine. Lost draft pick might even be it'd be too
I don't
much.
see that either. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see.
But
I don't see that either. I
but
don't.
if they wanted to add on a little extra oomph for publicity, then draft pick, no harm, no foul. Honestly, to anybody outside of the Dolphins, but whatever. Who cares about the Dolphins?
Questions for Sap. What is your what is the overall state of the league from your eyes through 4 games?
Decent. We still haven't. I mean, like again, we know the first 4 games of preseason. So actually, this is where the real season, in terms of people being more competent in the office, people getting their conditioning under control, what the league now, what a lot of teams now have to kind of like navigate through is working their players who have been injured through the process of their recoveries. But what I'm looking for still is for teams to be as whole as possible and really compete against each other. Um, those games have been few and far between. So, um, so I would say the overall state league is exactly. I can't. Philadelphia's a tad bit of a surprise. I didn't expect it to be this dominant this early. Um, but outside of that, I'm trying to think: is there anything that is shocking? The Colts being as bad as they are, shot a little bit, but whatever. Um, uh, it is pretty much the teams we thought were going to be really good are good. The teams we thought were going to be really bad are bad. There's some in the middle that you could just be like, well, we'll wait and see all. I am still very much anticipating the AFC West heating up a little bit more as the teams get comfortable. But I think that divide is such a significant divide that I'm not as excited as I was at the very beginning of the year. But I think the overall state of the league is fine. It's where it should be after 4 games, considering that the first 4 games of the NFL season now is preseason.
Um, Kansas City Buffalo are who we know they were going to be tomorrow. So there's no that is what I expected. They are clearly the 2 best teams in the league. They are clearly the 2 best teams in the league. It's not even close. Disappointed with the AFC West minus Kansas City. Thought that that division would be way more competent. Nobody, I mean, even like the Chargers have just haven't played well whatsoever either, despite the win this week. They had to struggle at that against the Texans. So disappointed with the AFC West, but excited with the idea of Kansas City and Buffalo playing twice, which I think they will for the for in essence to me the de facto Super Bowl championship. So to your point, you're absolutely right. First 4 games are the preseason. Um, Obviously, I can throw in another thing about how bad the opposite line play has been, but that's part of it.
Yep.
You got a lot of
Yep.
teams trying to find their footing, and
Yep.
we've seen teams who know who they are have flourished. Like Eagles know who they are, know what they want to do. Buffalo knows who it is, what knows what they want to do. Kansas City knows who it is, knows what they want to do. So there you go from that standpoint. Oh, is Samuel the most complete receiver in the NFL?
I mean, I like Debo Samuel. I think he's more of a physical receiver. He's like a 2.0 version of like a of a I'm thinking Heinz Ward. That's the only one that's kind of like come to my mind.
Got you.
Um, like in terms, because I was thinking like in terms of like a physical receiver, I'm thinking like a Terrell Owens, but he's not the type. He's not a receiver. Like when I think about Debo Samuel, I'm not like he's like Stephon Diggs is a dog at receiver, right? Like he's going to like take on the best matchup. He's just going to go head to head
Right.
with you. Tyreek Hill is honestly my vote for most complete receiver in the league. And so like when I think about Debo Samuel, I think about him more in his physicality and his ability to be a Swiss Army knife more than I think of his receiving skills. But he is a dynamic. He is a top 5 dynamic weapon.
So I say yes, he is because, and I'm including like the blocking, yards after catch, and the most important part you mentioned, the physicality. He wears defenses down, and that is a unique aspect to that. I mean, that's a unique aspect to a receiver that we have rarely seen in like just rarely see. Like we don't see receivers. We see running backs do it, running backs, and we see running backs do it opposite line. We don't see receivers physically wear defenses down. Like no one wants to. Like we see tight ends do it. Is seen tight ends as well. Gronk, perfect example, would do that. Would do that when he was in his heyday, from a physicality standpoint. But no, I like no one wants to tackle this dude. Like, yo, no, even like forget about cornerbacks and safeties. Linebackers don't want to tackle him. Like I have not seen a receiver like this. He's one of the most unique receivers that I think we've ever seen. Now, from a talent standpoint, of course, if I'm starting a team, I'm taking Jefferson or Chase. We know they're more talented pass catchers. I understand, and route runners from the technical side. We get that. And of course, Tyreek Hill has more talent. But when I mean complete, I'm talking about blocking, what he does for their running game, the yards after catch, and just the overall physicality that he brings to the game. So I think he is, to be honest with you. Now, but again, that's me saying he's the most complete doesn't mean I would take him with my first pick. That's a different question and conversation. Stock up, stock down, stock up. Saquon Barkley. First of all, for staying healthy through the first month of the season, we know he's had difficulty with that. But when he's on the field, he's dynamic. Just like he can single-handedly take over a game. He has been, like I said, the biggest reason why the Giants are off to a fast start. Their defense actually has played well. Has played well too. Uh, but good to see him back healthy for now. Hope he stays healthy because he is a legit. I mean, he's a legit. He could be a legit 2,000-yard guy as far as receiving and running. Like he's a legit. He's a dynamic, all-purpose guy. Who'd you have for stock up?
No, I just wanted to piggyback off the Saquon Barkley, and I think like the other thing that's been really impressive, again knowing the coach as our former offensive play caller is to watch him adjust to his personnel, and particularly with Saquon Barkley, like you said, very injury prone. Of course, you feature your best weapon, but there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it, and I bring up Carolina and
McCaffrey.
what's his name and McCaffrey, and how they just continuously run him into the ground and have him out by mid-season. Now it hasn't been a whole season, but a quarter season, but I appreciate how they are incorporating them into the offense and how the blocking scheme and the way his running style minimizes the amount of hits that he's taking. So I agree with you on the stock up.
Yeah, the talent. Listen, the talent is undeniable. This guy is a. I mean, this you just hope that he stays healthy because he's fun to watch, dynamic talent, um, physical receiver, not receiver, excuse me, physical back, and again can break a 50, 60, 70 yard run at any time. Uh, stock down the NFC, just mediocre at best. Like I'm not gonna say NBA Eastern Conference mediocre back like 10 years ago, but not been impressed with the NFC at all as a whole. I know Philadelphia's played well. I know the Giants are improved, but I expected more Tampa Bay and Green Bay. To be honest with you, the Rams are about where I thought they would be. Like I didn't have high hopes for them. That whole division is 2-2, by the way, the NFC West. So that's going to be, those teams are going to beat the hell out of each other. But the NFC as a whole, I'm just not. I've just been down on it. I like even the quality of play. Uh, like I'm watching. I didn't watch it live, but even watching the condensed version of it, the New Orleans Minnesota game, yeah, overall just not down, just not impressed with the overall product of the NFC. What are your thoughts?
Um, you can visibly tell where the young quarterbacks and all the offensive talent went. That's it. You're
Yes.
relying on two aging greats
Yep.
to keep the division. You can tell all the talent is.
Yes.
Just
Yep.
that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And we used to see that in the NBA minus LeBron. We used to see that it used to be in the Western Conference.
Yep.
So
Yep. It's just that simple. You
yeah,
can just
no,
tell.
we know why. Yeah, we know why. So that's not even the issue in terms of why. It is the way it is. Week 5, look ahead. Green Bay in New York and London. Should be an interesting game. Green Bay's not playing that well. The Giants have, feeling good about themselves, even though we know
Yep.
Daniel Jones. We know Daniel Jones isn't nothing holding to write about, but Barkley can give Green Bay some issues. The Green Bay Giant defense has played well. I'll be interested to check that out.
And it's in London.
Yes, that's in London. Yep, 9:30. So it'll be one of those same as it'll be a 9:30 game.
I'm talking
Uh,
about like how the teams prep the week to travel, all that.
yeah, yep,
It can get wonky.
yeah, oh
So
yeah,
that,
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
like for the underdog, better.
It favors the underdog. Yeah, without question, it favors the underdog. Without question, it's not even an issue. Without question, it favors the underdog because travel and all that. To your point, early start. Yeah, um, Dallas and the Rams. Um, the Rams again are at where I probably thought they would be at the 4 games, 2-2, have not played well. Dallas 3-1. Cooper Rush. It's gonna be questions where and how long he stays in the lineup. Dak said, Dak wanted to be back by week 5. He's not coming back this week. That's not gonna happen. So you're gonna start to hear those rumblings on when to bring Dak back, how long they go with the Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush has played extremely well. The Dallas defense has played well. Um, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I want to see how long Cooper Rush can keep this going. That honestly is kind of like my fascination point right now with this game.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. He's played well. Listen, give him credit. He's absolutely played well. Um, Cincinnati, Philadelphia should be a fascinating game. Cincinnati all of a sudden has some life because Baltimore is not going to run away with that division. Philadelphia is playing great. We know that the undefeated record. The the idea again, the Philadelphia defensive line versus Cincinnati offensive line kind of scares you if you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, but we know Cincinnati has some weapons at their disposal. Should be a fun matchup. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, and if we're picking, then I pick Green Bay versus New York, and then I pick Dallas
Versus,
over Rams. And so in this one, I pick Philly over Cincinnati for that exact reason. I got to see the line hold up against good
yep, yeah,
before I'm going to believe in it. So there's no way I'm not thinking Philly's not going to handle Cincy pretty well. The other two games I can see being close and potentially going the other way, especially New York against Green Bay. That one I'm probably the most middling on in terms of like I can't see who wins. I'm fairly certain Dallas is going to win against the Rams. And I'm very certain it's going to be Cincinnati. I'll be stunned if Cincy won this game.
I disagree with you about that. I actually think all three games will be very close. I that the Joe Burrow still is Joe Burrow. Like I still think that I still don't dismiss Joe Burrow in that Philadelphia game. I think there's gonna be. I think all three games will be very close. To be honest with you, I would lean Green Bay. I would go Green Bay, Dallas, and Philadelphia in a close game. And really, Cincinnati doesn't really get dominated like that. To be honest, even when they lose, like they kind of find a way to hang in these games. Um, yeah. And again, I think they caught it. I think they caught a break. I mean, they've caught two breaks. To be honest with you, you get the Tua injury in that game last Thursday, and then now you get Baltimore losing, and now if you're Cincinnati, you look up and say, hey, we were 0-2, we're 2-2, and now things we're tied for the division lead, and we haven't played great. So I think if I'm feeling Cincinnati, I'll be feeling good about myself right now considering how we started the season, per se. So it should be a pretty good week. It should be a pretty good week. Not a great week in NFL football, but a pretty good week before we head into um, this second part, the second quarter of the schedule. Again, overall things we know.
The Pittsburgh game,
Pittsburgh, who?
Buffalo.
Come on,
Is that one? How's my game not up there? All these NFC East teams all the time. I don't care about the NFC East.
I know. Pittsburgh, yo, Pittsburgh. Oh, so yeah, so, I'm glad you bring that. So speaking of that game, the the Pickett era has officially started in Pittsburgh. Good luck, Pickett against Buffalo's defense. Like, welcome to the NFL.
Okay, can I tell? Okay, so that was going to be 41-10. And I'm generous with that 10.
Yes.
I'm very generous with that 10. I'm just going to be like, my coaching staff will struggle sometimes against somebody they don't have a ton of tape on. So I actually wanted to be, if it was Trubisky, they not getting a point. They would have gotten a point because we had him.
Yes.
He's been So that's the only reason I'm giving 10. Something maybe that we can't see. If TJ Watt was there, of course I'm not saying 41 at all. But without TJ Watt, no chance. No chance. And how unimpressive offensively we've been, and outside of any quote unquote weather, we're gonna smoke Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that could get very, very ugly. That can get very ugly. Other than that, I mean, unless Dolphins, Jets, no Tua, and I'm not excited. I know the Jets are 2-2, and they should be somewhat feeling good, but I'm just that just doesn't do.
I think the Jets get that game.
I actually, I would not be surprised. We'll live
this AFC East like Jets fans are going to be psychotic about 3-2. They will.
Oh, they should. They're the Jets. They should be psychotic about 3-2. No, they won. They 1,000% should be. Like they should be psychotic about 2-2. How about that?
No. I mean, they're fine.
They're the Jets. They're the Jets. I mean,
you don't live this AFC East like, so you can say that.
They're the Jets
for the next week.
No, they're the Jets. Oh, they should be. They should be happy to be 500. But
they're gonna get that win.
But 3-2, they're gonna be doing. Yeah, they ready to throw a parade. So that is going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast with Robert Sapp. As always, thanks to Mr. Sapp.
All right, sir. You have a great week.
Absolutely, you as well. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. We will see you next time. Enjoy your evening. This podcast will be up in a few hours, definitely by tomorrow. So stay tuned for it. So long.